Welcome to episode 12 of the Structural MD podcast. So, for the prior roughly 10 episodes or so, we covered all of the different processes of additive manufacturing. And today, I would simply like to cover literally the process in general, start to finish. So, from your concept to a finished product, regardless of what process you use, how does the workflow happen? What does that workflow look like? The baseline or step zero really is the idea. This idea can be found in your head. You can have pencil and paper and write it out. It can be one of the back of the napkin ideas at the bar at happy hour. Regardless, before anything, before you even need a printer and material and a computer and CAD and all this other software, you just need to have an idea. What do you want? This idea can also be reverse engineered. It can be you have a part, let's say it came off of your 1929 Model A. Obviously, I don't believe Ford is making that anymore, unfortunately. And what do? Well, you could 3D scan that part and do a reverse engineering process to print that part, which I will probably touch on in a future episode, how the concept of reverse engineering, 3D scanning, and all that works. I'm actually going to be getting some experience on a Faro scanner. I've never done one before, so I'll be learning that here shortly. And I might do a quasi product review, kind of talk about that experience. Moving on to step one, CAD. So we need to take that idea and turn it into a CAD model via a CAD software. And this can be done through a numerous number of CAD platforms. I listed out a bunch in the last episode, episode 11. I went through the GrabCAD and the different three facets of that program. And again, I will list them in the show notes, which, housekeeping purposes, the show notes can be found at structural-md.com/P012. I'll list out all the CAD platforms that you can use. Some are more common, like Autodesk or Inventor. Autodesk Inventor, that's one word, or one program, and SolidWorks. Then there's some I've never even heard of, but nonetheless, whichever one you are most familiar with or comfortable with, you can use to draw up your idea into a CAD model. Step two is to convert that model into a file called STL, and STL stands for Standard Tessellation Language. Basically, that's simply put the printer language. That's what the printer reads to lay down your print. It doesn't read the CAD data. It reads the STL file. It does an air check. And some softwares have some printers have proprietary software. For example, the Z Corporation uses a ZPR. Object Geometries uses OBJDF. Again, it's a common theme with the industry of people using proprietary information just to make things a little bit harder to copy and kind of keep their hold on the market. Step three is the build plan. This is where you want to optimize the printer or print orientation for both quality and printer utilization. Again, prior episode 11, I gave the example of the dishwasher. You want to fulfill that dishwasher with as many plates, dishes, cups, silverware as possible, such that you don't waste water, electricity, and things of that nature. You fully utilize the dishwasher. For example, if you could fit 25 bowls in there, you would fit 25 bowls, not just wash a bowl 25 times. Similar also to 2D printing. So, for example, using copy paper, you could look at doing a landscape versus portrait print or a single versus double-sided. The same kind of analogy applies. Step four is machine prep. Now, this is where you could listen to the past episodes 3 through 10. These are very machine specific, and they're also specific based on the machine. So even though you may be using a laser melting process, different machine manufacturers will have different machine setups, different processes you need to go through to set up your machine. So some examples are refill consumables. These could be the build and or support material depending on your print. Orient the build plate, make sure it's level. Some printers are getting to the point where that's an automatic calibration. Other printers, you need to go in there and almost old school level it, if you will. Step 5, let's build that puppy. That was really loud. Machine does the work. So simply put, depending on the object size, the machine, the material, the duration can alter. But again, you also want to check for errors. Check out GrabCAD episode 11. That's at structural-md.com/P011. Link will be in the show notes. But again, the machine does the work. The total duration will depend based on what you're exactly printing and the process used to print. Step 6 is printer removal. So you simply remove the print from the machine. There could be some things to be careful of here. Some prints are going to be extremely hot, so there's going to be some time to cool down before you want to handle those. Others are going to have toxic chemicals that you want to make sure you have the proper PPE set up for whatever you're going to be dealing with. Step 7 is post-processing. Now, this is the most overlooked step. So a lot of people understand that, yes, you draw it in CAD. Okay, maybe I didn't fully realize that you had to convert it to an STL file or a printer language file, but that's not that challenging. Yes, I understand you have to set up the printer. Yes, I understand it prints, and we're done. Well, not quite. You have to do a little bit of post-processing, and again, this is material and printer dependent. So if it's a powder-based process, you have to get rid of the unused powder that's not been sintered by the laser. If there's been support structures, those need to be removed. Some can be dissolved. Some are broken away with your hands. Some need tools. Just kind of depends. And then also, some resins will need an additional curing time, so you'll have to let them sit before you take them into step 8. And lastly, you're going to want to do a quality check to make sure you get the correct print. If many people know in the past, if you will, and it's getting better, and obviously it's going to continue to improve just like any technology, you want to do a quality check because not every print is 100% the same each time, if you will. The reproducibility is getting way better than before, but it's still something you want to check out before you deliver your print to the application or client or whatever it's going to. And then lastly, application. Use that printed part, for whatever you're going to use it for, whether it's going to a client, whether it's for your own use, a hobby, an experiment. That's simply put, step 8, use it. I hope you found this episode to be super helpful. If you did, if you wouldn't mind sharing it with one person in your life, it could be a coworker, a family, a friend that would find this information to be useful, that wants to learn more about 3D printing, that wants to evaluate it for their business, where it can help them and things of that nature. By all means, please share this podcast with them. I don't want to charge money. I don't have any sponsors, but it'd be awesome if you could share this with someone who could find value in it. And by all means, if you have questions, you can email me at jah@structural-md.com. There's also a website contact form on the website if you want to be interviewed, if you want a product featured on the show, if you love to come on, if you want me to cover something in detail. If you love me to come talk to your company just about the 3D printing process in general and how it can help you or how it can benefit you, and just give an overview of what it is, feel free to reach out. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I will talk to you next time on episode 13.